Sometimes the people we trust the most are hiding the darkest secrets. It all started on a rainy Thursday evening. Emma sat quietly in the hospital waiting room, nervously tapping her fingers against a paper cup of cold coffee. Across from her, her husband Daniel stared at his phone, unusually silent. Their 7-year-old son, Noah, had been admitted earlier that morning after suddenly collapsing at school. The doctors suspected a rare blood disorder. At first, Emma thought it was just another routine medical test. But then, a nurse walked into the room holding a folder, so tightly it looked like she didn't even want to carry it. "Mrs. Carter," she asked softly. Emma stood up immediately. "Yes, is my son okay?" The nurse hesitated. And in that single moment, Emma felt her entire world begin to crack. "The doctor would like to speak with both of you privately." Daniel slowly lifted his head. For the first time that day, Emma saw fear in his eyes. Real fear. The kind of fear you cannot fake. Inside the doctor's office, silence filled the room like poison. The doctor cleared his throat before speaking. "We found something unusual in Noah's DNA results." Emma's heart pounded violently. "What do you mean unusual?" The doctor looked directly at Daniel. Then he said the words that would destroy their family forever. "Mr. Carter, according to the DNA analysis, you are not Noah's biological father." The room froze. Emma blinked. Once, twice. Her mind refused to process what she had just heard. Daniel stood up so quickly his chair slammed against the floor. "That's impossible." But the doctor continued. "There's more." He slowly opened the folder. "The blood markers also show that Noah may be genetically related to someone much closer to your family than expected." Emma frowned. "What does that mean?" The doctor's voice lowered. "It means Noah's biological father could be someone from Daniel's immediate bloodline." Emma stared at her husband. Confusion turned into horror. No. That doesn't make sense." But deep down, a terrifying memory suddenly resurfaced. 10 years earlier, a family vacation, a beach house, too much alcohol, and Daniel's younger brother, Michael. Emma's breathing became uneven. Daniel noticed immediately. "What are you thinking?" Emma couldn't answer. It's because for the first time in years, she remembered that night. A blurry night she had buried deep inside her mind. One mistake. One moment. One secret. And now, it was coming back to destroy everything. Daniel slammed his fists onto the desk. "This has to be wrong." But the doctor calmly handed over the results. The test was repeated 3 times. Emma looked down at the paper. Her hands trembled. Every word felt like a knife cutting deeper into her chest. Noah wasn't Daniel's son. And somehow, the truth was even worse. That night, nobody spoke during the drive home. Rain crashed against the windshield while silence suffocated the car. Noah remained asleep in the back seat, completely unaware that his entire identity had just been shattered. Emma kept staring out the window. Daniel kept gripping the steering wheel tighter and tighter. Finally, he spoke. "Did you sleep with Michael?" And Emma closed her eyes. Tears rolled silently down her face. It was one night. Daniel's face lost all color. One night, her voice broke. "I was drunk, confused. And it happened after our engagement party." Daniel suddenly stopped the car in the middle of the empty road. "You let me raise another man's child for 7 years." Emma cried harder. "I didn't know." But Daniel's anger only grew. "You remembered that night." "I buried it." "You lied to me." The words hit harder than any scream. Because deep down Emma knew he was right. For years she convinced herself it meant nothing. For years she ignored the possibility, and now a child was trapped inside a nightmare created by adults. Back at home, Daniel disappeared into the garage. Emma heard glass shattering moments later. Meanwhile, Noah slowly walked downstairs rubbing his eyes. "Mom," Emma immediately wiped her tears. "Yes, sweetheart, why is Dad yelling?" Emma forced a smile. "Everything's okay." But children always know when adults are lying. Noah looked toward the garage, then back at his mother. "Did I do something wrong?" That question nearly destroyed her. Emma hugged him tightly. "No, baby, never." But guilt was already consuming her alive. Hours later, Daniel walked back inside. His eyes were red, his voice cold. "I called Michael." Emma froze. "And? His coming tomorrow?" That night neither of them slept. Emma kept staring at the ceiling, replaying every decision that led to this moment. One secret, one lie, one forgotten mistake. And now their family was collapsing. The next morning, Michael arrived. The tension inside the house became unbearable instantly. Michael looked confused at first. Until Daniel threw the DNA results directly at him. Michael read the papers slowly. Then his face turned pale. "Oh my God, Emma looked away. Daniel stepped closer. "Tell me the truth." Michael swallowed hard. And then, he whispered the words that shattered whatever hope remained. "I always wondered if Noah looked like me." Emma covered her mouth in horror. Daniel punched the wall beside him. "You knew?" Michael shook his head quickly. "No, not for sure." But his silence said everything. For years he suspected the truth, and said nothing. Emma finally exploded. "How could you stay silent?" Michael looked at her with tears forming in his eyes. "Because I loved him too." The room went silent again. Daniel stared at his brother like he was looking at a stranger. "You destroyed my life." Michael whispered back. "No, we all did." At that exact moment, Noah appeared at the top of the stairs, and he had heard everything. "Uncle Michael is my dad." Nobody answered. It's because nobody knew how. Noah's small face filled with confusion and fear. "Dad." Daniel looked at the little boy he had raised since birth. The boy who called him dad for 7 years. The boy he taught how to ride a bike, how to swim, how to tie his shoes. And suddenly biology no longer mattered. Daniel slowly walked toward Noah, then knelt in front of him. "You are my son." Emma burst into tears. Michael looked away. But Noah asked the question nobody was prepared for. "Then why is everybody crying?" "Because sometimes children suffer the consequences of secrets they never created." As weeks passed, the house became colder. Emma and Daniel barely spoke. Michael stopped visiting completely, and Noah became quieter every day. One afternoon, Emma entered Noah's room and found him staring at old family photos. He looked up at her softly. "Mom, was my whole life fake?" And Emma's heart broke instantly. "No, sweetheart. But Dad isn't really my dad." Emma sat beside him carefully. Then she whispered, "Being a father isn't about DNA." And Noah looked down. "Then why did everyone act like the world ended?" "Because adults ruin things children understand naturally. Love, trust, family, all destroyed by ego, lies, and fear." Months later, Daniel finally made a decision. He invited Michael over one last time. The atmosphere was painfully tense. Daniel looked at his younger brother silently before speaking. "I hate what happened." Michael nodded slowly. "I know. But Noah deserves better than this." Michael's eyes filled with emotion. Daniel continued. "He already lost enough." Emma watched quietly from the kitchen doorway. Then Daniel said something nobody expected. "You can be part of his life, but only if you never hurt him." Michael broke down crying. And for the first time since the truth came out, the family finally stopped fighting. Not because the pain disappeared, but because Noah needed them to. Years later, Noah would eventually learn the full story, the betrayal, the lies, the DNA test, the horrifying truth. But he would also learn something else. Family is not always created by blood. Sometimes family is the person who stays. The person who protects you. The person who chooses you even after the truth destroys everything. And in the end, Daniel still chose Noah. Even after the DNA test revealed the horrifying truth, because real fathers are not defined by biology. They are defined by love. And sometimes love survives even the darkest secrets. But somewhere deep inside that family, one painful question remained forever. If the DNA test had never happened, would they have been happier living the lie? Or was the truth always meant to destroy them? Some secrets stay buried for a reason, and some truths change lives forever. One